So, welcome to Elevate Pod, where we elevate your mindset, inspire your spirit, and ignite your leadership journey. This podcast is brought to you by Elevate Leadership Services. My name is Pearl Inonge.
And I'm Chiboy Chungu.
We are the co-founders of Elevate Leadership Services and hosts of Elevate Pod.
So Elevate Pod is dedicated to inspiring as well as empowering listeners, focusing on minorities and immigrants. We offer valuable tools, resources, and pathways to foster personal as well as professional development. Today, we are actually honored to have Monica Stelmack to be with us so that she can share her personal experiences and insights on overcoming barriers through her life. Monica is a CEO of Wide Horizon Inc. She is also a distinguished Mexican-American entrepreneur and business professional committed to advocating for neurodiverse individuals. As a mother of 3 boys, including her son, Danny, who has autism, she has dedicated the past 27 years to championing her children's rights to lead full and enriched lives. Inspired by the challenges she faced when raising her children and pursuing her career, Monica founded Wide Horizon Inc. in 2013 while earning her bachelor degree in business. Her goal was to share the valuable lessons she had learned and to provide support to others in similar situations. Through Wide Horizon Inc., Monica offers mentorship, guidance, and advice to many families facing similar challenges, helping them to navigate their unique journeys. The relentless passion and ensuring that those who cannot self-advocate receive the necessary support they need and representation that defines a career. As the CEO of Wide Horizon Inc., Monica continues to empower and inspire others, dedicating herself and unwavering to the causes of neurodiversity. And more recently, she was recognized as one of the Wonder Women who do a lot in the community in San Joaquin. Over to you, Inonge. Oh, Monica, do you have anything that you'd like to see before we go into the interview?
No, I just want to say thank you very much, ladies, for inviting me. This is a wonderful opportunity. I really think that many times I just realize that it's not what you know and you just have in your mind, but it's how do you share what you know? When we think about what's the legacy that you want to leave behind, and having this opportunity, sharing my story wherever I go, is that purpose. How can I inspire somebody who might be in situations that what I was? So thank you very much. This is a wonderful opportunity, a privilege, and we're just excited to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Monica, for joining us today. I can't wait to dive in. So just to introduce the topic for today, we are diving into the topic of overcoming obstacles. We all face challenges, we all face difficulties, whether in our personal lives, careers, or inspirations. But what sets us apart is how we navigate those challenges. So I'm absolutely thrilled that you're joining us as we embark on this new adventure on Elevate Pod. So let's start by talking about a significant challenge that you have faced. Can you recall a time when you faced a significant challenge? Who or what has been your most significant source of support during that particular challenge or during all the other challenging times?
I think life is not easy. We know that, right? And one of the things is that we always face challenges. But I think one of the biggest that I will recall and I wish I could forget, unfortunately, is not possible. Um, is It was many years ago. It was during the time when, in my previous marriage, it was a difficult time. It is sad to say, from the dark situation, I was a victim of domestic violence. I I was going through a lot, kind of suffering and abuses. And I think when everything what everything what was happening, I become to a point when to believe that it was my fault. My ex-husband, he cheated on me many times, and I thought that everything what he did to me, it was my fault. My self-esteem, it was in the ground. I and I already have my three boys. And I thought, because my selfish, it was so bad. I didn't believe in myself. I thought that I have to be in that relationship because I would be able to take it on my kids, and especially financially, even though I had my degree from the country where I come from. All that for me didn't matter. I thought it was not possible. And I was just looking and believing everything what he was telling me, and didn't do anything. I think the force that it helped me to get through it, it was it was my fate. It was my fate at the moment when I saw my kids. That is a very image that is in my mind. And I think, like I say, even though I try to overcome that, and it's still that the wound is still in my heart, and it will be there. And I'm just trying that when I think about it, it doesn't hurt that much. But it was my faith. It was the decision when I saw my three boys that I decided to say, I don't deserve this life. I can do better. I deserve better. And it was one night I left the house in the middle, like 3 o'clock in the morning, when he passed out drunk. When I just took off my three boys and we left. And I think that was the source when I get the strength and the faith that I could do better than I live. So it was my kids who motivate me to get out of there, because it was not only for me but for my boys, and it was my faith that I knew that I would be okay. I think that that's what it moved me to open many opportunities when I took that decision.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I think those were challenging times, but I'm happy that you had to source yourself and be able to go through those situations and see today where you are. But during that process, as you started that journey, which I think you were not clear where you were going to be, you had to change your mindset. And changing the mindset requires a lot of maybe hard working and soul searching. What role did mindset play in your life to allow you to continue to succeed after that huge challenge that you had gone through?
Well, definitely is clear, and it's important to think that the role of a clear mindset is crucial. We need to know when we understand, and I would tell you at that point, I didn't know anything about mindset. I just thought that I think I was just reacting. But now, over the years, when I start thinking about it and learn about the mindset, is that's what I thought that it helped me to make the difference and to make the decision, because that helped me to, when you have a clear mindset, it helps you to overcome obstacles. It helps you to think how to get out of the situations where you are. it helped us also to face those challenges, because it's a little bit more like you think a little bit about the situation. So you think about how to get out of there. And also it helped us to stay motivated and helping us to keep going despite the situation where we're going through. So it is crucial to have a clear mindset.
Correct. Oof. So you mentioned you left and you had the children with you. I'm sure when you left, you didn't leave your children behind.
No, I
How
didn't live. Go
how
ahead.
did you manage going forward from the time you left at 3 a.m.?
Uh, it was not easy. Like I say, he passed out, and I took my boys. I just put it in the car, and at the time, my little ones, they were scouting, so they were Boy Scouts. And thankfully, there was a family who, when I came with my son to the Scouts, there was this family who, yeah, embraced me. They kind of always inviting me to like have dinners with them close to their tent or providing for me. So they become a very helpful and supportive couple. That's something and somebody who I can look for when and that was the only couple that it came to my mind to go to looking for help at that time. I was so grateful that they actually they did it in the middle of 3 o'clock in the morning. They just got up and let me get in their home. I explained the situation, helped me to fix up something to sleep right there with my boys in the living room. And even the next day, because I had to work, the husband he stayed home. He called sick or call off to his job and say he won't go to work to stay with my kids. While I went to start kind of looking for a restraining order and start looking for support. Um, I was with them also for almost like 3 days only because they have life, and what I did is just like I say, I went to police to put a restraining order. And 3 days later, I was in a shelter where there women abuse women. And but I would tell you that that's why when we go through the networking and I come across with people who support women and domestic violence, it is very, very close to my heart when I hear that, because I say I was one of those women who were in your shelters, so shelters like yours. And something that I would never forget either when I was there is my oldest son. He told me, he told me, Mommy, are we homeless? That really got me, at that point, yes, we were homeless. Even though we have a house, we couldn't go back home because my ex-husband was there, and it took days until the police asked him to leave, and I was able to come back. But I think having the support of that people who you can look out in situations like that is critical. That kind of tell us that we cannot live in a life independently or separate, thinking like, I don't need help, I don't need you, because you don't know. You don't know when you will meet somebody. And I'm so grateful that the way how my family, my mom and my dad, they raised me, I was able to build relationships and truly friendly and real relationship who were there for me when I needed the most.
Wow. You are an inspiration. You show resilience. And many of us need to walk, take your journey like the one you've taken, because having 3 children and making it was like a new beginning for you.
Yeah, and especially, I think that if we put a little bit more cream in the cake, I call it, when my son was diagnosed at the age of 4, I didn't know anything about autism. I didn't know. I think that most importantly, I never knew about mental health. I didn't know about disabilities. I just thought when he was 4, and I had people from an entity who came to the evaluation because he was 4 years old and he didn't speak. And I thought he was spoiled. I was my baby, and I thought he was perfect because he never made problems. He was always so detailing, looking flowers, and I never knew that he has autism. For me, that he was perfect, especially for the way how he behaved. So when I was told that he has autism, I didn't know what autism was. And I go, what is that? And at the moment when they told me, oh, it's a problem with the brain, and start trying to explain me, the only thing and the only word that I knew in my life about related to mental health, it was crazy. That was the only word that I knew. And and obviously when I heard and I thought about that in my own son and my baby, that was devastating. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know um, what it will happen. And it was tough by myself. It was tough. Definitely, it was tough. And I know that there are many families who might be facing situations like that, but there is always a light at the end of the tunnel. And I think that was the most beautiful thing, where we know how to find that light.
Okay.
It's so powerful, Monica. You have faced a significant challenge, or maybe many at a time. So you have a lot of inspiration within yourself to give. And there are many people out there who are struggling with adversity. What advice would you give to someone currently struggling with an obstacle or with a difficult situation? I know you have touched on it here and there, given some advice through your storytelling, but what direct advice would you give to someone listening right now on how they can handle their current situation, their obstacle?
I think, well, we know that it depends the kind of challenge they're facing. If I would say the most important thing, I would tell you a clear example that my dad taught me first. When you're carrying a problem, struggle with a challenge, he picture it in a way like it's like you're carrying a big rock on your shoulders behind your head, like this, right? And you say, oh my goodness, this is so heavy. I can't carry on. I cannot even walk. It's so difficult to carry on. But when my dad taught me, you don't see the problem because you have it in here. Yeah, it is heavy, but you have it here. What you need to do, you need to put the problem in front of you, or that rock in front of you, look at it, go around it and look at it. And later you will find out that it's not really that big how you thought. That's when you start figuring it out. You need to identify what the problem is, how big it is, what kind of help do you need to handle that problem. You might need to go to approach, again, depends on the circumstances. In my case, my problem was, if I go back to the beginning, my biggest problem at the beginning, it was living in a abused relationship, abused marriage. And I was I wasn't thinking, I was carrying all that pain, that struggle. So it took me years to put that rock in front of me and say, you know what? This problem is not that big. How can I get of this? Okay, first of all, what is what you want? Do you want to stay there? You want to continue suffering there? Unfortunately, there are many women who are not able to make it through. Thank God I was able to see that on time and go and find help. What is, regardless the challenge, look for help. And if it's because the people like on the other side were talking about parents who have struggles with kids with intellectual and developmental disabilities, in this case, with in my case particular, look for help. There's how there's a lot of help, there's a lot of resources that are available for them. And I think that's the key word. I would say you need to identify exactly what's the problem you're facing. And that's the way how, after that, you're going to find out how you're going to find a solution or make it through.
Wow, that's impactful and very, very powerful. And I just hope many of our listeners will listen very carefully to what you're saying, because somebody out there needs what you're saying today, the information, the journey that you took and how you came out through it. And if we look at you today, you have gone from working out at 3 a.m. to being a CEO of an organization that you founded. What can you just in brief just tell us how you even went to be where you are today, finding yourself to be a CEO of an organization that is really impacting not only your son's life, Danny, but impacting other people's lives?
That's a very nice question. And something that I would tell you, a family was who saw me going through with my little ones. He was a pastor, and he asked me one day. He knew all the struggles that I lived, and he told me one day when I was already living this life, which is totally different the life that they made me. He was saying, "Would you allow me to share your story in my church?" And I said, "But what are you going to talk about me?" He says, "It's like that part of the resilience, that there is something better beyond the what you are living at." And I think that when he told me that, I'm not a proud person, and Chewy knows I'm very humble. I don't like pride. I don't feel like, oh, I am the CEO. No, I am so humble and grateful to God that He was give me that strength to, and most importantly, though, to help me to see that there's a different life. And something that I will encourage to anyone who can hear this message and is struggling, it's not about to become the CEO, but it's how do you turn your challenges and possibilities and opportunities. And not only for you, like you mentioned, Chiwi, not only for in this case on my son. I could be, and many times when we are just focusing on the problem, we despise the good things that we have around it. We forgot to be grateful for what we have, because there are families and there are people who are in worse situations where we at. I think that seeing my kid and my children and that night in that shelter, that was the turning point when my son told me, "Mama, we're homeless." And I didn't know at that point when my son was diagnosed out that he was has autism, what I could do. Many I could have just cry and say, "Oh God, this is the way how God wants me to live. That was God's will that my son was born like that," and just live that life. But no, that was I was refused to stay in that lane. If I didn't know what autism was, I didn't speak English as much, almost nothing when I came. So I learned English. I went to school. I have to go to English classes for adult classes to learn English. And it wasn't easy because I leave my kids at home. And then sometimes my son, my oldest, call me, "Hey, Mom, the little one is jumping on top of the bed and he's climbing a tree and I have to come home." And I remember I cried like a little kid when I come home because I say, "Why you can't help me? Everything what I'm doing is for you because I want to get a better for a life for you, and you need to help me." So I couldn't stay in class because I have to come and take care of my boys. And it wasn't easy. But I learned English. I learned autism. What's the autism? What it comes from? What's the challenges? How can I start learning how to observe my son, how to help him? And it was it was a long, long journey. I would tell you, I was a single mom for almost 9 years, dealing with all this with by myself, with my boys. But the motivation, you know, and thinking and be grateful, because there are people who are in bigger challenges. People with kids where they can walk, they can talk. And that's the part. I think it's like focus on what you have and work to do it better as much you can. Sometimes it's difficult, but do as much you can. And that will help you. It will help you, give you the motivation, find the motivation to get up in the morning when everything what we do is tough. But when, in my case, I thought about my boys, and that was my motivation. And I think like today, having that program, when I decided to do it, it was, I think this is, and I shared in one of my meetings, this is my life purpose. I'm doing it for what I can leave behind. If it helps my son, I have peace of mind. I want the many families who going through the same, they can enjoy the same peace of mind that I'm enjoying right now with my boy. So it is a great opportunity. I truly say, I pray that whoever can listen what I share, it's not on pride. It is on motivate. To motivate anybody who can hear this, that say it is not easy. But if you put the time and the effort and focusing on the life that you want to live, don't focus on where you are, focus on where you want to be. Picture that kind of life you want. I do believe that because I am living it. It is possible. So it is wonderful.
So powerful, Monica. I don't even know where to begin. Thank you so much for sharing your story. You know, you've touched on many things that spark my interest and on some things that I can truly relate. Just thinking about you walking away with little kids, trying to start something out there, survive a new beginning, and again, in the midst of that, dealing with a condition that you're not aware of. I can relate because I know how difficult that can be. I myself had a sister that had a severe case of cerebral palsy growing up in an environment where it was not very common or known. And so seeing the family navigate that aspect of life, something new that is not yet accepted, you know, in the environment. I can only imagine having to deal with starting afresh as well as, you know, having to deal with that condition. So having said that, I know you've already given a lot of nuggets here and there, but I still want to ask this. You know, everyone faces challenges in life, but not everyone is able to overcome them. So, just one mantra or quote that you can share, please do. One that will help someone that's trying to push through a very tough time.
I think the most important thing, people needs to learn to believe in themselves. They need to learn to quiet the negative voices. Don't listen to negative voices. Many times we hear that from people who, whoever is telling you that, there's people who don't really love you. But if the most important, you need to love yourself. You need to learn who you are, and despite what the people says. Many times I think it's like, I'm stubborn. I would tell you. When somebody told me you can't do this, it's like they're saying, I said, well, you say that I can't. Well, I will show you that I do. But I think that's why it's better to, when you think about that, it's not just to show people that they're wrong, but it's the confidence. And it takes time. It takes time. Like I was telling you, it took me almost 13 years, 13 years that I live in that relationship before I decide to jump out of the boat. It takes time. It takes build confidence, build that for a person. It takes time. It's understandable. I don't blame anybody or any woman who are in the situation where I was, because because I know it is difficult. That person needs to learn. I would say what it changed my life is when I learned who I am under God's eyes. It's not about who I am in front of the world, in front of the people, because the people in front of the people, we're always gonna fall short. But in God is telling you always that you are more than a conqueror in a situation. You're powerful. That's for me that for me is like what it came when I heard those words. I said, you know what? Everything what I heard here, everything what he says to me, it's not right. It's not true. Guys telling me that I'm powerful. I'm more than a conqueror, and I'm gonna become all those challenges. When you believe that, your life will change. So that's the key. Learn to know who you are. Believe in yourself. Fight for what you want. Prepare. Learn what you don't know, so you can have those opportunities to overcome any challenges. Any time that you spend, if I don't know, well, I didn't know English. Well, I went to school to learn English. I didn't know what autism was, so I started learning what English was, what autism was. All those. Learn, know what you don't know, learn what you don't know, so that will help you, and just get the desire to live a different life.
Oh, wonderful. What a powerful way to end the podcast today.
Thank you.
We really, really thank you for coming. You have enriched my life, and you have enriched, I know, Pearl's life and the life of many that are going to listen to this podcast, because we need people who have resilience and who have conquered and overcome, to give an example to the many that have lost hope for a long time. So thank you for joining us today. You are an absolutely pleasure to have, and just hearing your story makes us wonder that we are going to continue at another time, maybe in the future, to call you back, because I know there's more to talk about and to tell, and more importantly, about the business that you have.
It will be my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
Again, thank you so much, Monica. This has been an incredibly insightful conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your story, your faith, and your wisdom with us today. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this journey to elevate and empower. Remember, every obstacle is an opportunity for growth. So see you next time on Elevate Pod, Lead with Purpose, and Grow with Passion.
Thank you.